Well, hey there, everyone. It's me, Esther Bartkiw. We are going to talk today about the space in between eclipses because that is where we find ourselves right now. Of course, we had an amazing total lunar eclipse on May 26th. 2021, and then we have a solar eclipse coming up on June 10th. And I actually really love these 2 weeks between eclipses. Some people don't so much. So let's talk about it. I'm going to offer you some tips and suggestions to navigate the energies and the cosmic waters during this time. Those of you who are new to me and to my channel, my name is Esther Bartkiw. I am a core belief therapist, intuitive and energy reader. I'm a super fan of student and astrology. I combine core belief therapy, which is like a very deep soul journey within, with psychological tips, tools, and techniques, energy healing, spiritual mentoring, energy transmissions, to provide for my clients really grounded and practical guidance, readings, tips, but also very deep interchange. Deep interchange so that they can move forward and create the life that they want to live here on planet Earth. All right, so welcome. All right, okay, the space between eclipses. So we had the total lunar eclipse on May 26th, and it was pretty spectacular. I found the energies to be quite lovely. They weren't very harsh for me. That wasn't my experience, but very intense. Like, I was walking around that day and I'm like, it's so funny because there's some people who don't even know that there's an eclipse happening. Okay. And I would mention, oh, it's the full moon, it's the eclipse, to people that I would meet. And they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know. That's really interesting. But even they would say something like, it feels different today, or I noticed that there's something different about the energy today. And I say, yeah, exactly. Right? So I felt the energies were pretty good, but then the day after, which was yesterday, May 27th, I felt like I had an energy hangover. This is not uncommon when we have a very big celestial event, that you will wake up the next day feeling like, like when you were in university and you went out, drinking and dancing for the night, how you felt the next morning. We can feel this. It's an energy hangover. It's like it was so much at once, and fusion and release and different vibrations that we're not used to. So when I woke up in the morning and I felt this energy hangover, I knew that I just had to clear my my plate and just take care of me. And that's what I did. I had a couple of self-care appointments to do, and then the rest of the time it was just about resting, doing things that I enjoyed to integrate the energies. I actually went to bed pretty early last night. I woke up this morning extra early for me, and I feel really energized today. So if you were having that energy hangover yesterday, the day after the lunar eclipse, I would suspect for most people, you're going to feel very energized today. It's like you're going to bounce back very quickly, if not in the next couple of days for sure. So in this time between eclipses, what we call the veil between dimensions, the veil between worlds becomes very thin. And you might have a visitation from a loved one who's passed over. And it might be like an in-person visitation. You're sitting on the sofa and you sense that they're there with you, or you smell their smell, or they come to you in a dream. These things can happen in so many different ways. With the veil thinned, you might see orbs or angels, or catch energies moving out of the corner of your eye. That happens a lot. If you go into the forest, maybe you'll see some spirits. Just be open. When the veil is thin, our psychic gifts and abilities are on point. Okay, our dreams become strong and full of information. You might astral travel more. Your intuitive hits, the guidance that you get is sharp, like follow through on it, even if it doesn't really make sense to you. And I want to do a video on that. When you get guidance that doesn't make sense to you, what do? I would say, if it feels right, do it. Okay. Sometimes things don't make sense, and then we look back and we say, wow, that was an important piece of this puzzle. All right. Now, this was an eclipse release purging full moon. So you may be going through a purge, and it could be an actual physical purge, right? Where you would have the physical detoxes of maybe feeling a little bit sick, or a rash, or diarrhea, or just not feeling well, like cold or flu-like symptoms. That could happen. All right. But if it happens more, if it's for more than 48 hours, I wouldn't just brush it off as this is full moon purging symptoms. Investigate it a little bit more. All right, because those purges will move through quite quickly. You might have a desire to clean your house, to clean your car, to clean your office, to clean your room, to clean a drawer, to go through your clothes and get rid of everything that's old and doesn't fit and is full of holes, something like that. There might be an actual cleaning purge for you to do. During this purge, things may come to an end. We've been talking about it, a relationship, a work situation, where you live, something that has been long-term and ongoing. And it could be just, wow, hey, our time is done and we're moving on. And for some people, it could be something that is wrestled away from you. So there is this purging and this letting go, and it will be more significant, I would say, within these 2 weeks between eclipses. All right. You may feel unstable. Hey, even when we have change that we love, right, we can feel unstable because we're moving towards something new. This is new territory. It's new energy, new frequency, new vibration. Everything is new. So, even if you're moving towards something that you're like, oh my gosh, I love this, I'm so glad that it presented, you may still feel unstable. And then, of course, if something's happening and you're like, oh, I'm not so sure about this, that may also create some instability. So, of course, your grounding techniques are very important. A while back, I did a really nice blog post on my website about grounding tips. I'm going to see if I can dig that up for you, put a link below. I suspect most of you who are watching this know about grounding. And I would just say, in a nutshell, the best ways to ground are to go out into nature, especially if you can put your bare feet flat on the earth, connect with nature. Anywhere where there's trees, vegetation, some grass, that is so great for grounding. Being out in the sun, being in the water, for me, taking a shower or a bath, especially with Epsom salts, is very grounding. You'll have your own techniques. Do what you can to avoid grounding techniques. We all have them that are unsupportive. So what do I mean by that? A lot of people will ground through food. Okay. And honestly, I truly believe there's nothing wrong with eating copious amounts of food once in a while. People do that to ground, but just be mindful of what you are eating, right? If you're eating pizzas and hamburgers and chips and cakes and things, and you're just like eating all of this to ground, yes, you will get grounded. You'll feel full in the belly. You will feel that, oh, I'm grounded. But it may have other consequences in your life. So just try to pick something that is healthy and supportive as we're moving through this eclipse season. All right. And then some people may also have, in this instability, not feeling grounded, there might be mental and emotional instability. Okay. Depending on what happens, what shows up. If that's you, I know we all try to be brave and say, I can go through this on my own, but maybe you need someone to talk to, a friend who understands the energies, or if, something's really shaken you, an eclipse event has really shaken you. Sometimes we just need basic talk therapy. I need to talk this out. I don't need you to make any suggestions, but I just need someone to listen to me, okay? And whether you have a friend or there's some really great talk therapists you can go to, they will help. But really, seek some help and assistance. Of course, I can always help with the belief work and the conscious talk. Sometimes it's just a reframing that needs to happen. And that reframing is something I'm really, really good at. Reframing means like seeing the other possibilities, the other sides, the other side to the story. It might not be as bad as you think. Let's look at it this way. That's what a reframe is. And this mental and emotional stability, it might not be you, but it might be people around you. Because as I said earlier, there's a lot of people who had no idea there was eclipse. They have no idea about eclipse energies. Maybe they have no idea about ascension, what we're going through, but they are still being affected by the energies and they may not be processing it very well. Okay, so then they become unstable. And perhaps you can help them at the very least be aware of it so that you don't get triggered by them. You're just like, oh, they're having their eclipse moment. I'm going to stay clear right now unless they ask me for help. Keep focusing. This is tip number 8. Keep focusing on what you do want to create in your life during this week, because the next eclipse is the solar eclipse and it's a new moon. It's about new beginnings, starting fresh. So really keep that vision, that focus on what you do want to create, experience. Keep raising your vibration. Be a monitor of your vibration. Your vibration is created by your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your concepts of realities, your actions. So you want to do your best to be mindful and always reaching, right, for the next best feeling, the next best thought. I like to keep it simple and say, just focus on what you love, what you enjoy, what makes you happy, things that are interesting to you, and that will just naturally raise your vibration. All right. And then point number 9, this is something that came up in our lunar eclipse energy transmission event that I held. That call, by the way, was 1 hour and 40 minutes long. There were so many transitions that came through. If you do want the recording for it, you can get it on my website, whispersfromthesoul.com. And then I will also be doing a solar eclipse energy transmission, which will stand on its own, but will also be a great complement to what we have already done. I'll put a link below if you're interested in getting details about that. So something that I mentioned during that lunar eclipse energy transmission call is, as things are releasing and leaving your life, especially in these 2 weeks, don't go looking for them, okay? Just notice that they're gone or they're leaving and, say ciao, ciao, but don't go looking for them. And what do I mean by that? Because we do go looking for things like, is it really gone? Is it really gone? Is it really gone? And we try to test the waters, but when we're looking for it, is it really gone? We energize it again. It's fading away, it's dissolving away, the patterning is going, the thought is going, but when we're looking for it, we re-energize it. So just as an example, all right, let's say you have a pattern of eating late at night. Now, I'm not saying that eating late at night is bad or good. I know for some people it's really good. It works well for their body. For other people, not so much. But let's say you have this pattern of eating late at night. You know it's not helping you because it's causing digestion problems, it's causing sleep problems, and then when you don't sleep, it affects your whole rest of the day, and maybe it's creating weight or other health issues, cortisol spikes, whatever it might be. All right. So this was something that you wanted to release. And let's say the lunar eclipse came along and said, yes, we're going to release that patterning. And 3, 4, 5 days after, you start to think, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm not eating at 9, 10 o'clock at night anymore. That pattern was really gone. So great realization, great noticing. Leave it at that and move on. Rejoice and move on. Refrain from doing something like, oh, I wonder if it'll come back. maybe the next night at 9 or 10 o'clock, you might say, oh, it's usually around this time that I would eat something. What would I normally eat around this time? Let me go see what's in the fridge. If that pattern was still here, what would I be having today? That's just re-energizing it. And it might set it into motion again. It might set it into motion again. So don't go looking for things that have been released. Just say, wow, it's gone. Let's move on. What's next? That's what I like to say. What's next? If you are feeling, this is point number 10, that, hey, Esther, nothing was released from my life during the lunar eclipse, and you're feeling disappointed. The first thing I would say is eclipse season is a very long season, right? It starts 2 to 3 weeks prior to the first eclipse. So reflect back. Was something released from your life then? I'll tell you, the Friday before the eclipse, I had a very big realization of a core patterning for a meta issue. Meta meaning something that has kind of dogged me my whole entire life. I always knew it was there, but I never paid much attention to it, because when it would come up, I would say, I don't think that's really a big issue. So I never paid attention to it until it came up in my face on the Friday before the lunar eclipse, and I went, oh my gosh, this was so much bigger than I thought. And then, scheduled some inner work to release it. All right. And then the day before the eclipse, I had an email came through that said, ooh, sorry, we know that we said that this was possible, but it's not possible now. Oops, sorry. Something was just completely eclipsed and taken away from me. But I found a solution within 36 hours. So I didn't let it get me down. I didn't go into victim, why does this always happen to me? I said, no, I want to really experience and create this, and let's find a solution, God. Let's find a solution. And one came very quickly within 36 hours. And then maybe your release is still yet to come, right? We are still in the thick of lunar eclipse energies. We got solar eclipse energies coming up, and eclipse energies really stick with us for up to 6 months. Okay. Strongly, I would say for a month to 3 months, but up to 6 months, this could unfold. So your release may be coming yet, or you may just have a release that you're not aware of. And as I tuned into this lunar eclipse, I suspect for most people on the planet right now, something was released, purged, taken away from them. Maybe it was a belief, a thought, an ideology, a way of life. I'm not following that rule anymore. Who made that rule anyhow? And that just doesn't make sense to me anymore. And they won't have this big aha of, ooh, this is being taken away from me. But what they'll notice is maybe a year from now, they'll say, wow, I don't think that way anymore. I don't do that thing anymore. I really turned that around. Something happened. And if they reflect back, they'll pinpoint it to around this eclipse time that there was a shift. There was a turning around. Okay, so if you're disappointed, nothing is being eclipsed from my life, and I was waiting, it may have been, you're just not aware. It may still be coming, or it might just be one of those things that is subtle but impactful, and you may notice it down the road sometime. All right. And then point number 11, this was a personal observation that I made. On the day of the lunar eclipse, I was on social media and I saw all these people posting their pictures of the full moon. And there were some beautiful pictures. I had a gorgeous view of the full moon here in Dubrovnik by the sea that I posted. And I had this beautiful realization that in a time where there's so much division and opposition and duality on Earth, that we had a moment created by the cosmos, created by God universe, with the moon, and of course, with the earth and the sun in play, the eclipse, where it didn't matter who you voted for, it didn't matter your political stance, it didn't matter if you were going to or not. It didn't, nothing mattered. It's like there were so many people just looking up at the moon and going, wow. It's like we were united by the moon and its beauty and the fullness and its grandness and the majesty of it. And I noticed that on social media and I went, wow, wow, more of this is coming down the pipeline. This is what our ascension process is about. All right, everybody. So here are some tips, some suggestions, information about what you or those around you may experience during this time between eclipses. I trust this is helpful to you. And then just as a reminder, on June 10th, I will be gathering again with a group of people. We're going to do an energy transmission call for the solar eclipse, and I do know already one of the pieces we are going to work on is to ensure that you are personally on the highest timeline available to you right now. Sometimes we have opportunity to make a timeline jump and we don't take it for a number of reasons, and we're gonna work on that in our call. Again, I'll put a link below. Please let me know how your lunar eclipse experience was, if you got to see the big moon. Maybe you're aware of something that's been eclipsed from your life. All right, always love to hear from you. Ciao for now, everyone.